Yogiram Surat Kumar, Yogiram Surat Kumar, Yogiram Surat Kumar, Jaya Guru Raya. भगवान श्री योगीराम सूरत कुमार की जय। सर्वं योगीराम सूरत कुमारार्पणमस्तु. We submit our prayers at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. I would like to share with you an incident or two which illustrate the glory of the divinity of Bhagwan. There is a great devotee by name Shri Perumal Raju from Krishnagiri. He used to come to Bhagwan in Sannadhi Street house, and once on his way to Tirupati, he came to see Bhagwan, and Bhagwan put his hand into his long pocket and pulled out a coin and gave it to Shri Perumal Raju and said, Perumal Raju, when you go to Tirupati, will you do a favor to this beggar? Yes, Swamiji. Will you please ask Shri Venkatachalapati who this beggar in Tiruvannamalai is? When you drop the coin into the hundi there, please ask Shri Venkatachalapati who this beggar is. Will you? Yes, Swamiji. He left, and then when he went there, after having darshan of Shri Venkatachalapati, when he approached the hundi, he was about to put the coin there into that, and then he remembered what Bhagavan said, and immediately he made a very strong appeal to Shri Venkatachalapati and put this question, who is this beggar in Tiruvannamalai? As soon as he mentioned that, great vibration started. It was reverberating and reverberating all around and was gathering more and more strength, and it became loud and vibrant, and finally it arranged, the vibrations arranged themselves into a word, and the word was Nenuda, 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 Nenuda. It reverberated. It's a Telugu word, and Shri Perumal Raju, being a Telugu man, he understood it meant myself. Immediately he came out, he wrote it down in a letter and posted it to Bhagwan. And soon after that, he rushed to Tiruvannamalai to have the darshan of Bhagwan. When Yogiram Surat Kumar Bhagwan asked him, Perumal Raju, what is the meaning of the word Nenuda? He asked so innocently. Perumal Raju said, myself, Swami. Perumal Raju, could it be verily myself? And suddenly it struck Shri Perumal Raju Ayya that Swami was right. Swami understood more his own native language. It meant verily myself. It came right from the mouth of Bhagavan that he, Shri Venkatachalapati, declared so vibrantly to Shri Perumal Raju Ayya that Yogiram Surat Kumar, the divine beggar of Tiruvannamalai, is none other than Balaji himself, Balaji of Tirupati, Shri Venkateshwara. Now, same Shri Perumal Raju Ayya once again came to Bhagwan, and that time Bhagwan was nearing the temple, so he took the hand of Shri Perumal Raju and was walking ahead. And suddenly a man appeared with a tumbler of milk, with a glass of milk. And there was such agitation, turbulence, an expression of worry on his face. And from a distance, he offered this milk to Bhagwan. And Bhagwan, with a stare and a very stern expression on his face, waved his hand from where he was, "Go away, go away." He said it harshly, and the man actually was more agitated now than before, and he started to walk away, not knowing what to do. And then Bhagwan again stopped him. "Wait, now you drink that milk yourself." Of course he obeyed, not understanding what was happening. And then he left the place. Shri Perumal Raju thought, what is this? He's a Mahatma, an embodiment of compassion. I have seen him blessing so many people in so many different situations. Why is he being so harsh to this man? The man is obviously suffering. And he obviously came to seek solace from Bhagwan. Bhagwan, of course, knew always. He picked up others' thoughts. He knew always what was on others' mind. He didn't say anything at that moment. After walking a little bit, he said, "Perumal Raju is thinking that this beggar is being very harsh to that man. But Perumal Raju, do you know something? A doctor has to give the right medicine to a patient. He cannot give wrong medicine to him." Then Perumal Raju Ayya understood what Bhagwan meant. That Bhagwan, the treatment that Bhagwan gave to that man was the right one, and it could not be anything else. Anyway, the next time when he chose to come, it was very strange. This man was also coming behind. And this man came running to Shri Perumal Raju because I had seen him the other day with Bhagwan. He said, "Ayya," and this time there was happiness on his face. He said, "Ayya, I'm quite all right now." Then Shri Perumal Raju inquired what happened, what was it all about. And then this man said, "I was doing some business, but I lost everything. I lost all my wealth, and I was deep in debt. And I had my wife is also elsewhere, my daughter is elsewhere, there's no family. And every day I was being tortured by people who gave me money, and there was absolutely no hope. Then I thought there was no other go except suicide. And then again I thought, before committing suicide, I would do some meritorious deed. So I took the milk that was there, the only milk that was available there, and then rushed towards Swami. And that is when you saw what happened. But after Swami said, "Go away, go away." When I came back home, of course I was in turbulence, but when I came back home, there was this old friend of mine to whom I had lent a lot of money, a huge amount, quite some time back. But he had come back to give that money. He had a huge amount in his hand. Just imagine, then I understood. When Swami said, "Go away, go away," he was asking my misfortune to go away. And when he made me drink the milk, the thought of suicide left. Whatever Swami does is only for our good. Now today I am rushing to see Swami only to thank him heartily. Perumal Raju Ayya was very happy to hear that, and then he went to Shri Bhagwan's place. And then when he was there, this man appeared at the door. Swami said, "Perumal Raju, please call him in." And this time, Swami was all kindness, all love. And he was inquiring this man how the business was, how his family was, everything. Now, this particular incident we have to remember, because today Bhagwan may not be available in his body, but then he is all pervasive, he is all knowing, he is all powerful. He doesn't have eyes, but he sees. He doesn't have hands, but he works. And he doesn't have mouth, but he speaks all the time through some source or the other. And it's possible when we are in great difficulty, in great suffering, after our prayer, intense prayer and Nama chanting, something worse may happen. What we think is grace may not be grace at all. Something worse may happen, and then we think, what is this? Bhagavan is not listening. We say it's a notion of grace and all that, but then things have become more worse. But then soon after that, things would develop to such an extent, there's a huge benefit awaiting us. So let us know this is only for waiting. So we will appeal to this boundless compassion, this embodiment of love, who is all pervasive, all knowing, and all powerful. Submit our prayer to him. Bhagavan, kindly bestow a huge grace upon this world. Today, before we start our prayer, I would like to share some important information about Bhagavan Shri Yogiram Saratkumar. There was one devotee, Shri Shivaramakrishna Iyer from Tapovanam, who became very attached to Bhagavan. He was originally guided by two great Mahatmas, Shri Lalitananda Saraswati and Shri Gopala Krishna Iyer of Pasumalai. And after that, he came to Shri Gyanananda Giri Swamigal and settled down in Tapovanam and was in the service of the ashram and Swami. But there he came across Bhagavan Yogiram Saratkumar. Swami used to say, stay there, sometimes even for a month or several months or a few days sometimes. After the Mahasamadhi of Shri Gyanananda Giri Swamigal, Shri Shivaramakrishna Iyer began to take guidance from Bhagavan Yogiram Saratkumar, because according to him it is one Chaitanya in various forms that has been guiding him towards God. And then he also wrote very beautiful songs on Bhagavan. Once, when he and his wife had visited Yogiram Saratkumar at his Sannadhi Street house, there was this conversation happened. His wife had brought some food for Bhagavan. After taking that, Bhagavan asked her, Amma, would you like to ask anything to this beggar? His wife, Shivaramakrishna's wife, Lakshmi, said, Swami, what do I know to ask you anything at all? My husband is reading Ramayana and Bhagavata. He knows something, but I do not know anything to ask. Then Swami said, smiling, Ma, do you know why people are reading Ramayana and Bhagavata? What do I know, Swami? Then Bhagavan said, when you read Ramayana and Bhagavata, you begin to enjoy the Leelas of great Rama and Sri Krishna. You get a lot of happiness, you get a lot of joy, and you become blissful. It is for that reason people read Bhagavatam and Ramayana. And then he turned to Shivaramakrishna Iyer, and to both of them he said, even now, if you can remember some of the Leelas of the present Avatara Purushas, the living Avatara Purushas, you will get the same Ananda you will get the same Brahmanandam in the Purina. That is, he said you will get the same Ananda which will lead to perfection. And then he said, this beggar can make a lump of clay, the huge mountain, Mahameru, and he can bring this Mahameru, the great mountain, to a small lump of clay. Such is the power. And this power is what I call my father. So he admitted that he had the power to make this mountain Mahameru, to bring it to a small lump of clay. And he also referred indirectly that he is an Avatara Purusha, which means an incarnation of God. So these are the hints for us, because he always spoke to us that he was a beggar, a lazy, crazy beggar. And now, once in a way, to some devotees, he revealed his true state of being. And again, there was one incident which I forgot to tell you, that when Swami was there under the Punai tree, this Shivaramakrishna Iyer once went there. Such was his love for Swami. He asked his wife to do something for him. His wife cooked gooseberry rice, which he took and went all the way to the Punai tree. And then there he could not find Swami. There was his attendant, Perumal. When Mr. Iyer asked Perumal, Perumal said, Swami had not got up from morning, he is not well. He is lying down there. Then Shivaramakrishna Iyer thought he could not stay anymore because Swami would not see him, because all those people who came up till now had to return, so I will also not disturb Swami when he is not well. So when he was about to return, Swami woke up. Swami always knew what was happening around. Immediately he woke up and called out, Perumal, who has come? Swami Shivaramakrishna Iyer of Tapovanam. Oh, ask him to stay. And then he called him, and then he said, first thing he asked, what have you brought from home? And then he took this gooseberry rice lovingly in his coconut shell and started to relish it. He said, this beggar has not taken anything from morning. I'm so happy you brought this, and this beggar likes it. So this was the special grace that Bhagavan poured on this devotee. And it is to whom that he revealed that he was an Avatara Purusha himself, and it is enough to remember his leelas for spiritual progress to perfection. And he also revealed his power, the great power, the supreme power of the Supreme Being. Remembering all this, we shall submit our prayer to Bhagavan. Bhagavan, before we submit our prayers at the feet of Bhagavan, who is the very embodiment of love, we shall now recall, share, and enjoy and experience a Leela of Bhagavan which illustrates his boundless compassion for the suffering people. One day, after Bhagavan's Samadhi, when we were sitting in Pradhan Mandir at about 4:30 in the afternoon, singing the name, a Muslim entered the Pradhan Mandir. He went straight to the Murti of Bhagavan, prostrated before him just like any other Hindus, and then prayed with streaming tears. He spent quite some time with folded hands worshipping Bhagavan, and then he went round him and then came straight to us. And then he appealed to us. He said, because of this God, that's a word he used, this Devam, because of this God, today I am living very comfortably with my family. It is all the alms that he put in my begging bowl. Would you like to hear my story? He asked. We were eager and we expressed it. And then he said, there was a time he was very young, but married with children, and they were all suffering from poverty. So much so, there was nothing at all to eat at times. They were starving because he was jobless. No matter how many places he applied, he always get a big no. And he did not know what to do, how to spend his life, how to feed his children. So one day, completely soaked in self-pity and agony, he was walking. And at that time, a Hindu friend of his came running to him and asked him why he was looking so sad, so depressed. Then the Muslim friend said, see, this is the condition of my family. I have no job. No matter how much I try, I don't seem to land anywhere. What shall I do? How do I feed my children? And he was crying. And then the Hindu friend said with love, see, there is a Swami here. Please go see him. And I'm sure there will be progress in your life afterwards. He said, see, I have heard about him. He's a Hindu Swami. And so many VIPs are visiting him. And I'm a Muslim. And what's more, I'm very, very poor. Will he see me at all? I very much doubt. Then the Hindu friend said, no, he's not like that. He calls himself a beggar. You please go see him. Even without giving it a try, how can you say such things about him? That made sense. So the Muslim, the next day, about 11 o'clock, when he went there to Sannadhi Street, he found a long queue, like the tail of Hanuman, starting right from Swami's house, running up to the temple. And the sun was oppressively hot. And people were struggling to stand there because there was no other go. And people are also going one by one and very fast at that. Even then, more and more people were coming and joining the queue, so it was always long. So when this Muslim went and joined the queue last, he was thinking, my God, the sun is so hot and it's a long queue and I am the last here. Will he call me? Will he bother to call me? And then of course some time passed, half an hour, 45 minutes, and the queue was moving and moving ahead, and he felt that the time was running out and then they might even close. He started to imagine things. The door may close and Swami may go in and he may not bother with him. So why should I stand in the sun? Thinking so, he was about to move away. He did not want to stand there anymore. When he was about to move away, the attendant at the gate of Sannadhi Street house of Bhagwan came running, announcing breathlessly, there is a Muslim here, there is a Muslim here. Swami wants to see him immediately. Please come. So everybody started to look behind, and then they found that he was standing last in the queue, and the queue was long. Immediately they pointed out, please go, he is calling only you. The Muslim, his name is Abdul. Abdul could not believe that Swami was calling him. How would Swami know that he is a Muslim? And how would Swami know that he was about to leave the queue? My God, this is no ordinary person. He's a Mahatma. And what have I done? I have thought ill of him. He was very afraid. He was in fact trembling in fear. But then the attendant was insistent, and so he had to run behind him, and he entered Sannadi Street house veranda. As soon as he saw Swami, he knew instantly he was standing before a God man. Went straight to him and prostrated before him. He was about to prostrate. Swami immediately held him. He said, "No, no, you are a Muslim. There is no such habit there. There is no such custom in your religion. So please don't do this." And then he said, Bhagavan said, "What is your problem? What do you want?" And then he said, "Swami, such poverty at home, I'm not able to feed my children and I'm jobless. No matter how much I try, I don't seem to get a job at all. And the whole house is suffering, the whole family." Then Swami said, "Saukhyama iruppa," meaning that you would live well, you would live comfortably, not to worry. And then he gave him some prasad and said, "You can go, this beggar leaves you now." Then immediately the Muslim, he was feeling overwhelmed. And then he said, "Swami, please give me your photograph." Then Bhagavan said, "In your religion, you don't worship people. So why should you ask for this beggar's photo? There is no need for it. Think of Allah. Allah's grace will come to you. Allah blesses you." And then he left him. And after that, soon after that, a few days after that, he got the appointment order from the Public Works Department of the government with a very decent salary. He was so happy and grateful to Bhagavan. And then, of course, he went away. He was transferred to a distant place, and he was busy with his own life. Though, of course, he came to see Bhagavan twice or thrice after that. But when he came to know that Bhagavan had attained Samadhi, he came to the ashram the first time, and he was crying so much near Bhagavan. He said, "Amma, all the progress I owe to him. I feel so grateful. He is God himself," he said. And just then, it was going to be 5. He looked at the clock and said, "Amma, it is time for our namaz, for our worship. What will I do? Where will I go? Where will I do it? I have to do it immediately, instantly." And then he looked at the Samadhi. He said, "That is the Samadhi of Bhagavan. He is there. Can I go and do my namaz there in front of him?" Of course, we assured him that he could very well do it, that Bhagavan would appreciate it, Bhagavan would accept his worship. And then he went there, he did his namaz in front of the Shivalinga, in front of the temple. It was a very touching story. We were all moved so much. We understood how compassionate Bhagavan was and is. And we appeal now to that compassion, to Bhagavan, who is the very embodiment of this boundless grace and compassion. Today, before we submit our prayers at the lotus feet of Bhagavan, I would like to share a certain incident which illustrates how at the very call of the name Yogiram Sarat Kumar, how Bhagavan comes running to help us, even from a certain death. There was one devotee by name Lucia. She had come here to the ashram and she narrated the story to us. She said that she had just joined Mr. Purna's ashram Mr. Purana is a devotee and disciple of Mr. Lee Lozovic. Mr. Lee Lozovic is well known to the devotees of Yogiram Saratkumar. He had been coming to Bhagwan from 76, and he had a huge following of his own in States, in Canada, Mexico, and in a few countries of Europe. When Mr. Lee found that Mr. Purana was qualified to have an ashram of his own, he permitted him to start an ashram in Montana. And there is what we call Satloka Ashram there. There are about 100 people doing seva and nama chanting of Yogiram Saratkumar. This Lucia joined the ashram, and it was only about 6 months, and she also learned car driving after that. It was a winter season, a severe winter, and it was snowing heavily. One day she had to go to some place. There was some necessity for it, so she took the car and she was going on the narrow road. It was like a hill, and therefore it was a narrow path, and on the one side it was mountain, on the other side there was about 100 feet drop. She was moving on. The road was wet and slippery, so she was being very, very careful because she was new to this. But suddenly, at one point, she found the car slipping away from its path. And to her horror, it was moving to the edge of the road. On the other side was this 100 feet drop. She could not control the car, and it was slipping slowly. It was going towards the edge, and just a little more, it would fall down. Nobody could stop it. She was trying to negotiate, navigate, but it just wouldn't work. It seemed to be out of control, and she didn't have enough experience to manage this. So just when she thought the car was touching the edge and it was slipping down, she suddenly saw the picture of Yogiram Saratkumar over the dashboard. Immediately she called out, "Yogiram Saratkumar." She screamed his name and sought his help. "Please save me." She said she was screaming his name only once. The other sentence was, "Please save me." And suddenly she felt the car stopping as though two hands were upon the car, trying to stop it, and the car stopped. It was still hanging, a part of the car was hanging on the other side of the edge, but somehow the balance was maintained. It was as if two hands were holding the car, and she knew instantly it was the hands of Bhagwan Yogiram Saratkumar. He came rushing to her help when she called out his name, just as he promised. So he saved her from a certain death. Such is the boundless compassion and grace of Bhagwan, to which today we shall appeal, making our prayer. Bhagwan,